All right, look, we got to talk about like what's up right now. I was reading all this breaking news, man. Listen, just listen to what I'm gonna try to throw some stuff out there and show like how the vehicles that we drive are basically designed off of us, because we're not taught what makes us run. And Maryland, Larry Hogan, the governor, said he's going to end up locking it down again because of something about conspiracy theories and people need to get vaccinated. And, nobody reads anything. Before we go into this is a book talk about man-made diseases explained. But see, you got to think about it. The sicker that we are, then the more you have to depend on hospitals, doctors, and pills, and it's a revolving door. It just never ends. And it's the same cycle as an addict or an alcoholic, only it's legal, but yet it controls us because when we find out that our brains are a battery, and when that battery becomes corroded, like the cables and the terminals on the battery is going to be corroded, then the car is going to, not run, or it's going to stop or break down, and that's what we do. And so we're made of mineral salts. There's 12 mineral salts that we're made of. And when our brains become deficient of mineral salts, especially from birth, then in a generation, a female is going to have a baby, not knowing that her life, the Surgeon Generals of the land that anybody lives in basically on earth, says it's okay to eat all this. And so what you do is you're cut of this because they created this system that we're in. They don't want you to know how to take care of yourself, because the sicker you are, the more you have to depend on them. If you know your body, know your anatomy, know that you're a battery, and that how we're disconnected through the obesity, through the pills, through the modified foods, through the TVs, through the newspapers, through the careers, through the chasing their money. Same people that took this from us created the money. Okay, they created the money, and they control the atmosphere. And so what we're going to do is if we're going to look at this right here, red will be positive. And that's a terminal right there. Negative. All right. I got you. And it says, this is all about the brain. And this is about the cerebrum, the cerebellum, the pineal gland. It's about your whole body. But you're going to have these cables. They're going to be running. These cables are what's the battery. And truthfully, that's your brain as well. See, this is going to be your pineal, and this is your pituitary. All right? And what we have in the vehicle, the cerebrum is the motor. You know what this is? The cerebellum is the transmission. Alright, and we got what? Transmission oil, motor oil, and we have oil within us, that runs up and down our spinal column. The sympathetic nervous system that we have no idea about. And it says on either side of the optic thalamus. Let me show you what that is right there. Yes. So we can, right there's the optic thalamus. It's right here. It's inside the brain. Right here's the optic thalamus. I'll show you. It's inside your brain. And it says on either side of this thalamus in the head is a gland known in physiology as the pineal on the posterior and pituitary on the anterior of the thalamus. The pineal is cone-shaped, secretes a yellow or golden fluid. The pituitary body is opposite. Is ellipsoid in shape and contains whitish secretion like milk. The fluids that are found in both of these bodies come from the same source, namely the claustrum, which means barrier or cloister. This fluid, which flows down from the claustrum to the pituitary body, and these being special laboratories of the head, differentiate the fluid from the claustrum, and it takes on the colors of above mentioned, and in the pineal becomes yellow and has electric properties, which this is going to be electric. And the pituitary body, having milk-like fluid, has magnetic properties. These two glands are male and female. They're positive and negative. And it's what this is, and the fluid within us is going to run us. Hang on. And it says, there's a bunch of stuff that we don't know any about. And it says the fluid or oil or marrow, which flows down the spinal cord, comes from the upper brain and is known in physiology as ovum, or it's a seed, that in Greek it's called Christ. And that's the whole thing, is the oil is Christ literally inside of you. And these people have disconnected us way over time, and we have accepted lies. And because when you eradicate these cell salts, and they have Crisco oil, Christos, it's a mockery, everything they do, because they know that what they sell in the stores corrupts the oil within us. And it truly does. And it says when this oil is refined, transmuted, and lifted up, it becomes highly vitalized and regenerates the body. And that's what it does. And what are we doing every month? We're not regenerating the body. We're actually getting worse and sicker and bleeding and everything because we've been disconnected. Our battery cables, because this is your pineal and your pituitary over here in your brain, which is positive and negative. This is your battery for the cars, for the motor and transmission. You've got a thin oil and a thicker oil. Well, there's a sacral plexus right here that produces a thick oil, and the solar plexus produces a thin oil, and they go up into the cerebrum, into the claustrum, and it's the more that we consume these foods from the earth and spring well water and these fruits and vegetables that have electricity, just like a vehicle has to have the right amount of motor or oil, transmission fluid, the same way that we have to have the same amount of properties to run on all cylinders, because we're a copy of the vehicle was created because of us. All right? It was created because of us. And it says the thick, oily, and salty substance composing the sacral plexus, called a aquina, tail of the horse, may be likened unto crude petroleum, petra, mineral, or salt, and oleum, Latin for oil. And the thinner substance, oil or ointment in the spinal cord, may be compared with coal oil. And when this oil is carried up, it crosses the ida pingala, the two fluid nerves that end in a cross in the medulla oblongata, and contacts the cerebellum. This fluid is refined as coil oil is refined to produce gasoline, a higher rate of motion that causes the ascension of the airship. And when this oil, it goes up, it lights the whole house, like it says in Scripture. And it truly does. And then because talks about like in springtime. Okay, in springtime, if we're looking at this the way that the Bible says and the way that every culture in the history of the world is looking at everything, and that we're not moving, and that your eyes will tell you in time, if you can just plug back into the creation instead of man's creations to blind you. Okay? We paid attention to seasons. That's the will of God. That's God's will. Now we got goodwill with the one-eye symbolism. Like, hey, we're going to do some good. But deep down inside, we ate up. And people just don't, it's a good symbol, and they've made it to where it's like, you don't even know anything about symbols because you've been unplugged through all these modified shit. But it says, talking about the sun crossing the equinoctial line or equator on the 21st of March is said to bring the first day of spring. For there is a springing up and awakening of all nature. Indeed, very, very real, or few realize anything at all of the sacred outpouring, a flood tide of heavenly power or spiritual electricity which charges not only the earth but all human beings who are able to receive it. Each human being is a battery, an aggregation of cells, and the law governing its charging is exactly the same as that with which electricians are familiar. It must have the necessary material to attract electricity, the proper kind and the right quantity. A knowledge of cell salts, such as contained in this book right here, is what he's talking about. But it has to have the necessary material to attract the electricity. Well, okay, in a vehicle, check it out. In a vehicle, you people that know every damn thing about cars, you do know that, hell, if, whatever's wrong with it, the radiator, there's a hose, there's this, there's that, the more it's fucking broke down, the more a car ain't gonna run worth shit. Well, you gotta apply that to the same thing, to the human body. Because then you gotta look at the environment. They've pushed this fucking, the society has nothing that charges us in any fucking store. Fast food, all pills, none of that. It keeps us disconnected because the pills, what they do is they cool the liver. All right, the liver is the second stomach, and what the liver does is when you eat these foods with like fruits and vegetables and shit, and cannabis, hemp, and everything else that's natural, mineral salts, it goes in and the liver's going to process the first bit of the nutrients out of it, so to speak, and it's going to send it out to the rest of the body. It's going to send it everywhere, and that's this army inside of you. Now they got the army out here, and it's like, everything inside of us is what Satan has been like, over a long period of time. And what those pills do is they cool the liver to where when you eat actually something good or whatever you eat, there's nothing the liver sends that's good to the body, and that's what causes the obesity, the diabetes, the heart disease, all this other stuff right here, high cholesterol, osteoarthritis, everything that's bad. And when you disconnect us and we don't know about anything, because it's headaches, anything, you got 12 mineral salts within the 12 systems of the body, and it's some serious shit, because within you've got 12 disciples in there trying to take care of you. And what you've been is led down a dead-end fucking road that nobody's going to hardly try to ever come out of. Because this is the same kind of oil that's produced, inside of us, is the way that they've created technology and the wiring. When it's crossed, it creates more of a charge. Well, in the cables, they're crossed too. It's all the headlights or the eyes. You got to really throw all the wires running through, our veins, arteries. When something's down, it's going to, not the lights ain't going to work. Our vision might get bad. It's the same concept. And when you take this and introduce all this, space, evolution, dinosaurs, climate change, it's so stupid, because everything that y'all are watching is propaganda. It's all propaganda. It's not even real, dude. These people that have done this to us, they see what saved my life and did that is this. That's your brain. It's the same properties. Pills don't have it. That's why in the detoxes you never have mineral salts, because they know that you're not going to get better and you're going to fill up jails and dead and funeral homes and fuck up families and make people depressed, and I have to take pills and insomnia medicine, and they're in a Ponzi scheme. And we're on fire and we love you. We don't care how much you hate me. It doesn't, you can't, it's like, I'm not like, I don't even, because this is too hard for somebody to look at. It's too hard to know that you've been lied to accept it, and then to say, you know what, I'm just going to keep living my life the same way. It's like, don't do that. Don't keep going along, because we've been forced into some shit generationally over and over. And truthfully, it's going to get bad, like I said last February. And look, now it's they're forcing vaccinations, and this is it, dude. This is where it is. You know, it's all this stuff right here. It's all this. You know, it's that and that. This. There's a lot of other ones. Get this. You know, get this. Manly P. Hall, The Secret Destiny of America. That's some real shit right there, man. Let me see how long we are right now. Yeah, shit. Damn, I cut myself. Let me see. I could read that. No, I'm not. We'll go into that next time. But this is serious shit, man. Your battery and the cables are corroded. The cables are corroded, and they know that, and they don't care. And the more that they're corroded, the more we have to depend on them. You know what I'm saying? And take all their pills. And I mean, this is not God. That's not God. It's not God. It's not God. You know, it's not God. It's not who it is. And it's truly not. You know, and here's a couple more to look at right fast. Get those. Get these. These are good ones. That one. That one. That one. Get that one. I'm going to keep you busy for a while. Love you.